Welcome to Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. Innovative Strategy is a show designed to help people with their business and personal financial literacy, but not in the way that you have known. This is not your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30 plus years in the financial industry to stretch your financial box from, let's say about a 30,000 foot view of things. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have any questions, please email Bill at Billhasse, that's Bill at BillHaase.com, or reach out to him right here at 216thenet@gmail.com.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing today? Got a special guest on today, good friend of mine. If you saw the ad we put out there, we were talking about the pitch. The pitch being a very important thing in life, whether you're in business, sales, networking. Talk about the pitch. In networking, how many people do you know have a down pat 30-second elevator speech? And I'm thinking, I don't know many, if any, to be honest with you. I don't know anybody who stays within 30 seconds. I know people that, certain people in those groups that you go to, the networking groups, that they're not going to be able to keep within 30 seconds. They're going to go a minute and a half or whatever. And you're sitting there saying, I don't like that. I'm not thrilled with that. So I'm not going to do business with that person. So the pitch becomes a very, very important thing in many different aspects of your life and what you're doing out there professionally. But so I have a special guest who is a master at the pitch, and I have personally been working with him. Let's bring him in, Michael Verrett. Mike, thanks for joining us this week.
Bill, I would join you any week. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad we got you here this week. This has been a challenge.
I know.
You had a family emergency.
Yeah, I had a sick kid, I believe.
Yes. So we missed that one show, and then and you're showing, you have challenges, but you're showing your resilience today. Mike lives up in Rhode Island, and
I currently don't have internet.
Yeah.
So if there's any weird interruptions, it's because I'm on cellular on my phone.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you have phone service at least.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But, tell us, you and I have had several conversations about the pitch and the value and the importance, and you have really opened up my eyes, and the value and the importance of, because I've been in sales all my life, and I know people in sales, they try to go out there and talk about whatever product or service they're selling, and they're trying to just regurgitate as much as they know about it, because it's such a good thing. You have to have it. You need this. You want this, but we're doing it the wrong way, right? We're turning people off, and we sit back and we sit there and go, why am I not making any sales? What's wrong with what I have going on? But it can take a year or longer for people to all of a sudden sit there and say, gee, maybe it's something that I'm doing. Right? It's because most people think, no, I've got this down. It's other people just don't get it. And that kind of mentality is going to not put food on your plate. Right?
Yeah. It actually starts from a place of passion, intimacy, if you will. We know everything about our business, but the most important thing about our business, whether we're in sales, marketing, engineering, I don't care, is the fact that we believe that what we do can help our audience.
Yeah.
So now apply human nature to that. Why the hell wouldn't we want to go out and tell them about our service? It's the first thing we want to tell them, because we know how well it works.
Right.
But the audience lacks that intimacy with your business. They don't know what you know. What they know is, I need something, and here's why. It's as simple as that. That's as far as they've gotten in thinking. They're not thinking in terms of regular service. For instance, what if I'm looking for technical help for my computer. I can't do it myself, but I don't even know what service to look for or what kind of help I need. If you lead with that, I'm just going to be confused. But understanding that it comes from the business, they see everything through the lens of their business. The audience only cares about one of three things. You got to show up as first, best, or different. Those are the three options, and that's what we react to. And when you lead with the whole story about everything you do and you don't get those sales, more often than not, you're going, what the hell don't they see? How do they not see the brilliance of this or the utility? And we're left stumped. But it's because we're starting from that place where we believe in it, and it's an act of passion. The crime of passion is not telling the story the right way.
I agree wholeheartedly. First, best, and different. It's hard to be first. It's hard to be the best. But everybody can be different.
Yep.
The interesting thing is a lot of people, especially in networking groups, 30-second elevator pitches, whatnot. It's like, I'm a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now everybody says, oh, I know what that is.
I have one, or I know a bunch.
I have one. I know one. There's a bazillion of you out there, and they think they know everything about what you do and who you are and all that. It's the same thing with many other, coaches, consultants. We're all a dime a dozen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the importance of and the power of a pitch is you're not sitting there telling people. It's like oftentimes when I meet somebody and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" and I'm like, "Well, I'm involved in several things and yada yada yada." But I'll look at that person and go, "Why do you do what you do?" I don't even ask them what they do. It's like, "Why do you do what you do?"
Yeah.
I go at a different angle, like, make them think differently about it, and now you've got attention, right? Now you've got an interest. Well, that's an interesting question. Why would he ask that instead of what do you do?
Well, just the fact that you're asking them a question, leading with a question, is different than what they'd expect too.
Right. It's we do the same old every time, right? We when we go meet people, we go to networking groups, go to breakout rooms, and it's like, okay, everybody take 30 seconds to tell what you do, and it's probably the most boring part of a meeting.
Well, it's most networking groups, when you go to them, it's like you're going to a recital, but not music. It's reading your business card. Yeah. And you've got 30 people who say, my name is, my business name is, the services I provide are, here's the type of client I want, and here's how to get in touch. And that's, say, 80%. The other 20% that have an issue use what I call story brand Mad Libs. I'll give you an idea of it. It starts with the words I help. And story brand is brilliant if you follow all the way through. But a lot of people just start at the fill in the blanks. Okay, I help business A going to challenge B, accomplish goal C by providing solution D that allows them to E. That, since third grade, I've known that's a run-on sentence.
Well, you're natural.
And it's telling me everything and trying to tell me everything in 8 seconds.
Yeah, we have a tendency to regurgitate, right? Just throw out everything and anything in the kitchen sink and hope something clicks.
Well, and we're also thinking services first. So,
yeah,
of course, you're going to say your name, your company, and then you tell them everything you do.
Right, and then we post it in the side, right? Then we post it in the chat. And it's the same thing. That's, it could be a long dissertation here about who I am and what I do. And I'm sitting there going, this doesn't work for me.
No, it's over. If you think about how we absorb information as human beings, it's very different than how a business sees it. Yeah. And I use the contrast of there's no business without show business. No matter what business you're in, you're playing a role, whether you want to be or not. Think of working at a company. There's directors, there's props, there's scripts, there's all of these things that exist, right? And it warps the way we think in business because we're not thinking as ourselves. For instance, thinking, acting, talking differently. If I were to say to you, Bill, I like the microphone you're on. Did you acquire that via an e-commerce platform? I would never in a million years say that. I'd say, did you get that online? And that's the kind of thing that gets stuck in a business's head and somehow becomes important to them. But what you got to realize is every business is operating in a vacuum. They are sort of, they've insulated themselves from the outside world because everything they know is within that vacuum, that tube that they're in.
Right.
And ultimately, if they exist that way, the outside world, they have no feeling of it, right? If you exist in a vacuum, you're not picking up on anything. Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening is they spend all their time trying to figure out the right combination of things to say. They work with agencies or, branding firms or whatever to figure out, okay, we're going to do a brand pyramid to get to our brand essence. You know who's generating the brand pyramid most of the time? The employees of the company.
Yeah.
It's myopic. It's just it's tunnel vision all the time. But the outside world does not think that way. We think in stories, right? Business is science. It thinks in ones and zeros. Human beings think in all sorts of colors, and we think in narratives and stories, right? So if the first thing you tell me is the name of your business, page 1, page 2 of this story is services, there are so many things I have to understand before I get to service.
Yeah.
So it becomes an understanding of predict how people would ask questions is more important than what you're going to answer. The order is very important. So any website you've ever been to that has an FAQ page, you go to the FAQ page, they don't write it alphabetically. They don't just choose an order or put it in categories. They write it from the most general question their customer would have, all the way to the most specific. And they do that because that's how they would ask. That's the order a human being would ask questions. So let's put this to the test, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about an 8-page book, your solution you believe in so much is page 3. Your services are page 5. If you wrote the book, you could start on whatever the hell page you want.
Yeah.
Your audience hasn't read the book. So there are 2 pages blank before your solution and 1 page blank before your services that they have to understand. Now, page 1 is connection. Think of that as the title.
Okay.
The idea is out of the hundreds, thousands of consultants, coaches, what would make you stop your thumb scrolling for Google on me? You need to buy someone's attention through connection.
Well, you pay up and you get in the first page and you get up to the top.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the one who gets clicked the most, because that's the easiest thing to do, because that's how we are as humans. Why make it difficult? Let's just click on the first one, the easiest, and move on. And by the way, good morning, Phil. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. Haven't seen you in a while, my friend. But yeah, well, let's go through it like an example here. So as a recovering financial advisor, I used to be out there beating the path, and a lot of times, I would talk to people, and instead of saying, oh, I'm a financial advisor, I do investing, insurance, yada yada, and sit there and say, are you comfortable with how you're handling your money? And people go, huh, I didn't think about that, because most people don't think about their relationship with money and how they're handling it. It's just been my experience. And I'm on a crusade to teach and preach about that, but that's a different way to go about it. You're starting into a story, right? Mm-hmm. You're engaging somebody and making them think already about where are they at financially.
Yes, absolutely. But you're aligning that with each person.
Yeah.
They are going to look at it through their lens. So what you need to do is think of a lowest common denominator thing to connect anybody who needs that help with money. Okay. They are thinking about money, but let's assume they're much more focused in the present. Right?
Okay.
Everything you're talking about with them, financial literacy is not built for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's built for when you're 65 and over. You're trying to secure what comes next.
Yeah.
If you don't understand money, how the hell are you going to get there? It's a fog over your future. So the first thing I would say is lift the fog of your future. The second thing I would say is we all think in the now. We all are taking care of what we've got to do now. And maybe we're thinking a little bit about the future, but we don't know what it holds. I give you 2020 financial vision.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying.
That's the solution. So the connection point is clear the fog of your future. The fog of your future, because everybody's thinking about finances that way. But they want to be thinking of it that way. They should be, but they're thinking day to day, and maybe they're thinking a little bit about the future. But if you could see your future with 2020 vision, financial future with 2020 vision, you'd want that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a financial advisor, and here's how I can help you.
Yes, only.
That's all it is thinking like a human being first, and then getting them aligned to what any human being would understand, and then offering them the solution. I use the example of, this is a great way to build the idea. I worked with a client ages ago, and she was effectively a consultant for entrepreneurs who have an idea or a business but don't know how to run the business around it. Okay.
Yeah.
A ton of people who do that. That's not a new thing. And it's like a subset that is for coaches and consultants in a lot of ways. But if I know a lot of them, then we got to go in a different direction. We have to stand out as different. So we started with what her vision is. And her vision is to help these people realize their dreams and scale and get to where their vision actually is, right?
Okay.
If you think of a vision before you start your business, it's a straight line. It's like an Arizona highway. You can see the horizon. The second you start the business, it becomes a winding road in Vermont, right?
Okay.
So we landed on the word, but we thought about what's it like to run your own business. And we landed on the word chaos. Now, chaos is a word that you can associate in your mind with what it represents. But I'm going to assume if I'm talking to 100 people, they all look at chaos differently for themselves. But I need them all to hinge on one tangible idea to get them focused on where I'm going. So what we did was, running your own business is chaos. It's like being on a boat in a stormy ocean and holding on tight. Every day feels that way. Okay, great. So now we have the relation point, and we know what they're going through. Where we ended up, our connection, that's the relation. Like, we identified what they're going through and made it real in everyone's head. So the first thing we want to say has to be the connection point. Have you ever heard a consultant like that say, weather the storm of entrepreneurship? Then the next thing she says is, running your own business is chaos. It's like being on a boat in a stormy ocean and holding on tight. I navigate you to calm waters with a gentle tailwind.
I like that, Mr. Smooth.
Well, I mean, that's the way the motivation is more important than the need state when we're looking, right?
Right. You're not selling anything. You haven't even announced.
Well, we
service.
Assume as businesses that need state is what we want to lead with, solution. But if everybody's doing that, we've got the same message, right?
Yeah.
But the need state is generated by motivation. For instance, if I ask you for the time, I need to be somewhere. I have a doctor's appointment. It's not because I'm curious. The doctor's appointment, where I need to be, is the motivation. The need state is, what time is it? Make sense? So if you're leading with their motivation, you start to stand out as different to them when everybody else is leading with the solution. Case in point, if you need a plumber, you go on Google and look at plumbers. First three you look at, we're a plumber, we're a plumber, we're a plumber.
Right.
I discern which. The fourth one says, if water's on the floor, we'll be there in 10 minutes. Now, put yourself in the shoes of someone who just came home to water on the floor in their kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a light bulb, you'll do it on Saturday, not a big deal. But water, time stands still. It's destructive. We can't fix it ourselves, and we need help immediately.
Right.
We don't need to hear about all the services that Verrett and Sons plumbing company does. What we need to know is you'll be here in 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, I'm making 3 or 4 calls because I'm asking price. Right. I'm shopping price. But you're right. You have an emergency situation. You don't care about price anymore.
No.
It's
If your boiler or furnace goes out in the winter, do you care about price?
yeah, right. Yeah, your furnace goes
Same
out.
thing. Water could go through a level, ruin the level below it. What if it's an upstairs bathroom? You are talking about major, much bigger costs.
Right.
It's not like adding a porch to your front, to your front step.
Yeah.
It doesn't have
Well,
that.
Trust me, I've had experiences or know of those who have.
Yeah.
But this is more about the pitch here, what you're saying, and I like that. It's instead of announcing everything you do, it's what's your problem, what's your issue, what's your concern, what can I do, what do you need, right?
Imagine this, Bill. You're at the top of a building, on the roof of a building, looking down into a city square, and there's 10,000 umbrellas. All of them are black except one is red. Travelers Insurance used this as a magazine ad for years.
Yep.
You look down, you only see one umbrella.
Yeah.
And it's based on the fact that we are attracted to what stands out different. It's an anomaly in our head to a degree. So if you're expecting to see a bunch of plumbers listed, but then one hits you with, oh my God, that's exactly what I need, because that's what I'm going through, they look different to you.
Right. It's definitely that's somebody I want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
They
so just buying yourself that 3 seconds attention is first, no matter what the environment is. I don't care if it's a new business pitch, a networking group, or your LinkedIn profile. All of them have to make sure you stand out as different and they remember you. So this is the rule of people only remember 3 things at a time. And I've asked people, okay, think of write down, if I were to give you a phone number written down and asked you to remember and write it down yourself, I guarantee you're going back and checking the last 3 or 4 numbers. Yeah. And it's because we remember 3 at a time. The first 3 numbers are always right. Now let's apply that to a networking group of 30 people on Zoom. How many are you going to remember? 3. It's the same with 100 people on Zoom. You'll remember 3. So the goal for anyone out there who especially in networking, and that's where a lot of us are. We're not buying Super Bowl ads. We're not doing scale media. So we depend on being remembered in networking. If I'm only going to remember 3, then my sole job is to be one of the 3 that everyone remembers. That's it. Yeah. And if getting their attention with something unexpected, like if I'm in a networking group of all PR firms, this is my PR firm, the clients we work with, then they get to me and I say, hi, I'm Mike and I make news when it matters. I sound different than all the other PR firms in that group.
Yeah.
But I'm also speaking directly to the motivation of why any company would need a PR firm.
You would love the fact that
their news matter. It can't fall on deaf ears.
It's interesting that you say that, because when I think about remembering in 3s and stuff, it's funny because I know my wife's, my kids' social security numbers. I know my wife's debit card number, her credit card number. Because numbers. I know numbers. So
well, you also know rote repetition. Like my phone number when I was growing up, when I was like 11, was 784-7968.
Yeah.
I had to punch it into a phone, but it was repetition that gets you there, okay? Rote memory. But if I saw that number for the first time, I have a better chance of remembering 784 and 7,968 than I do 7 numbers.
Yeah, well, I remember growing up, my phone number was 825-1184. My best friend's was 825-0038.
Rote memory. And think about how that's destroyed with cell phones and caller ID.
Yeah, well, now we don't need to remember.
Right.
We punch in a name.
But it doesn't matter what the case is. Like, let's talk about a presentation to an audience, presenting to the board, to the management of a company, the C-suite of a company, and you go up there and you've written full sentences on every slide, and you're essentially repeating the full sentence. Right? If you ever watch Jeopardy and you have that mental struggle over, should I listen to Ken or should I read the clue? That's what they're doing. They're not paying attention to you. They're reading it.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want them to do, because why the hell are you there? But if you wrote it as just a phrase of what you're going to say, it triggers your mind to explain it. But more importantly, they see 3 concepts that they look to you to explain.
Yeah.
And you keep their engagement much better. It's 3 things on a slide. That's it. You're not allowed to have more. Preferably.
Yeah. Well, look, if you're going to go up there and you're going to read what you put up on the screen, you're going to lose me real quick.
Oh my goodness, Bill. I go to an event every Wednesday night, and it's a bunch of entrepreneurs pitching to investors, and they each have 2 minutes.
Oh, I know that.
Now, if you are presenting in person and you're reading off a teleprompter or whatever, like that's one thing. But when you're on Zoom and your eyes are this close to the screen and everybody sees you going like this because you're reading, 2 things are happening. One, you're not engaged with your audience. The other one, you don't sound like yourself. You are reciting something.
Right. You're not sounding like a professional who knows what they're talking about. You're just, again, you're just reading, regurgitating.
Yep.
And we all do that. So, okay. So let's start off with, I want to develop a pitch because my 30-second elevator pitches, I don't really have one. It changes every time I meet somebody because I might think that they want something different instead of, one time I might be saying, well, I do investments. And another time I might be saying, well, I do insurance or I balance portfolios, and everybody in their industry has their own trick words. They think that trigger people.
Yeah.
And the funny part is we're in our own little world because it's not triggering people, right? Mm-hmm. If we're not making sales, we're not triggering people. We're not doing the right pitch.
Right.
Or you and I have talked about this. And
pitch 100 times and one person says yes.
Yeah. I understand that if you're repeating yourself over and over and over again with a pitch, but if it's working, why change it?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not working, why not change it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we do that.
Yeah. Well, think about how hard it is to an author. Stephen King does this regularly because he writes a new story, 400 pages.
Yeah.
And it's, first draft all the way to publishing. It gets refined and he's involved in every step of the process. Now it comes time to write the sales pitch for his new book on the inside cover, the blurb. And he can't do it. Because he wrote 400 pages and every single word is important to him and has intent. He picked them for a reason. He's a writer. He can't distill it down to 3 paragraphs. He's going to be thinking, well, you need to know this, and I've got to tell him this, and this character is important. They're going to get all jumbled up. They give it to someone else to read. The person who reads it sees it from the perspective of the audience, and it takes them no time to write the 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
That's exactly what every single one of us goes through. We know everything. We have to do everything too. We're not talking about big companies here. When you say you're the CEO of your business, you're not. You're the C-suite and every department under it.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff for one person to know. So trying to find the outside perspective of it is the right thing to do. Remember, go back to that vacuum and insular existence of business. They need to be able to see what the audience sees. Otherwise, they're just not going to, they're going to just be stuck. Imagine a business is a fish in a fishbowl. And on the outside, you see this beautiful goldfish and it's crystal clear, right?
Yeah.
Inside, you're underwater. The glass is warped, so you can't see out there that well. And you end up just swimming in a circle all the time. Your business is in the fishbowl. That's the problem. And the solution is not take a course. It's not how do I refine my services. It certainly isn't I have to talk to my customers in 3 different ways. That's 3 different messages. I mean, you can't really maintain that. The overall effect needs to be, I get your attention. I direct you to what you need to know in the right order. And I project the right tone and attitude for my business. That's the key strategy for what we're trying to accomplish when we pitch our business, when we give a new business presentation, hell, when we're being interviewed on a radio show. It doesn't matter we've got to be able to speak the right way to our audience. Okay. So
I get you.
if we can't get that perspective ourselves, how do we recreate it? That's what we're trying to figure out. Go back to my example of an FAQ page. Most general to most specific question. So now add that thinking to hi, my name is. When somebody asks you, or when somebody says, what do you do? You need to anchor it in that same mechanism of get their attention.
Yeah.
Tell them what they need to know in the right order and make sure your tone and attitude is appropriate. That's what we have to do for every single pitch, every single presentation. That's the goal. What to say, how to say it.
But I get, so here's why someone needs to reach out to a person like you, because as you said, with the example of the book, if I wrote the book, it's going to be very hard, if not impossible, for me to write that little blurb in the front,
right?
To get you interested in the book. Folks, this is yet another example of you can't do things all by yourself. You need help.
You know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know, and you can get help. And look, I can tell you, in my conversations with Mike, it's changed my vision on what I do and how I speak, and I thinking a lot more about it, maybe too much. But as you've pointed out, don't overthink it, which I have a tendency to do. But this is where someone like you brings value in. I would highly recommend reaching out to Mike and getting yourself put in that good position instead of trying to figure it out for yourself all the time. I spoke to a person the other day, and they said that was one of his 2 goals for the year, was to get that pitch down. I go, that's a goal for the year. I said, I can introduce you to a friend of mine, and we can have that goal completed for you in about a day. but it's going to take you a year to do it on your own.
And if you
do, still won't get it right.
Then call me. It's a year and a day.
Right. And here, somebody with the talents that you bring to the table can help another person out in a very short period of time, get you on a good path. How do we get in touch with you, Mike? How do people reach out to you?
The easiest way to find me, and I tell everyone to do this, is put my name into LinkedIn. I believe I'm the only Mike Verrett that shows up. But send me a message there and we can absolutely get in touch. I could send you more information, but that's the easiest way to go. I also have a free video that walks through. I created what I call my elevator method. Instead of pages in a book, it's floors of an elevator. I have a free video that people can access. And that's part of what you can get to through LinkedIn. It's all right there.
Okay.
But the free video is great. It walks through the whole thing and how you build your pitch from the ground up.
Well, and so people understand, you can look up Mike Verrett, MikeVerret. If you're going to LinkedIn, Verret, Mike Verrett, and you will find him. I don't think there are any others either, because I've looked you up and you were right there on top.
There's not a lot of Verretts in the U.S. They're all relegated to French Canada or Louisiana. Want to hear a story about this? So the Louisiana Purchase, they moved the Acadians to Louisiana.
Okay.
Last name Verrett ends up in Louisiana too, but it's all, Burlington, Vermont. You go there's a lot of people with my last name, put it that way, right near Canada.
Okay.
So the Acadians all moved down there, and they ultimately become the Creole side of Louisiana. And they start being called what? Cajuns. Well, now back out where the word Cajun comes from. Indian, Injun, Acadian, Cajun.
All right. I never knew that.
Fun fact for the day, Bill.
I'm done for the day. I've learned something. I only have the capacity to learn one thing a day. I'm getting old. So, a lot of other crap up here in this head. So
like the rule of one, damn it.
The rule of one, yeah, not 3, 1. But this subject in the conversation with you has really gotten to be very interesting for me, because it has such a tremendous value. You're wasting your time if you don't have a pitch.
Well, it's also foundational to your business. Okay, so how you answer the question, what do you do? People are asking that question wherever they see your business. It's not just your face. And answering it wrong, if if you don't figure this out first, it has an impact on your brand identity, your communication, your marketing, your sales. All of that is affected by answering that one question. It says base
And it
foundation
reverberates,
get.
right? You don't strike it well with the one person. That person's going to talk to other people. Oh, have you ever talked to Mike? Yeah, you don't want to talk to him.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're starting a business with 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start a business. What do we do? It starts with even the business asking itself that question.
Yeah.
So figuring that out first makes your life so much easier and so much less expensive in terms of investment and time, like time and money investment, because you have the right map to follow for everything else. It's like, if you do this, you have the outline and a coloring book, and now you're free to go hog wild and color in everything you want.
Yeah. How much does this tie to your mission statement?
My mission statement is to help businesses talk about themselves.
I had a business. The mission statement was, we provide knowledge. Knowledge gives you options. Options gives you freedom.
Yeah. I mean, the way I position it is answering the question, what do you do the right way, provides clarity, simplicity, and consistency to your audience.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you need to experience?
So consistency is the one thing I don't see in a lot of people.
No, their network pitch is different than their website, and then they put their resume on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we're constantly
different ways to answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, but we're constantly trying to guess.
That rotates all the way around to what you were saying, talking to different types of audiences, right?
Yes.
You can't have 3 messages. Let's say you're talking to an investor, a partner, a potential partner, or a customer. All of them are human beings. All of them need to understand your story the same way. There has to be one narrative, one message. Then you can say, here's what it means for you, investor. And here's our SWOT analysis, our plan to launch, what we're asking for, path to return on investment, all that kind of stuff is for the investor, but it doesn't matter to the investor if they don't understand the first part. Right. Now go to a partner, now go to a customer. It's all the same issue. You need to communicate one way to talk.
And you know what? We so commonly run into people that think they have to do it differently for every person they meet, right? Because they're guessing that every different, or they're just saying, "Hey, I'm going to try this today, or I'm going to try that." It's like, I've been down that road in the financial advising world. One of the training strategies was, here, try this, here, try that, here, say this, say that, do this, do that. We don't say that anymore. We don't do that anymore. And I finally just stood there and said, I don't even know what the hell to do anymore.
Communication is not like a buffet at the Ponderosa where you go in and, they have 100 things that you can try. If you're doing the wrong things, not only are you wasting money and time, you are torpedoing your business. Because the simple fact is this, and this is a reality, it's philosophically inscrutable. How's that? You could have something of value, but if I don't see the value in it, you don't have anything of value. That's simple. So you could try whatever you want, but until I feel that you have the value I need, I'm not going to buy from you. You're always going to be trying to sell.
But I'm just going to try harder.
Yeah.
And I'm going to regurgitate more. And I'm going to spit more stuff out because I'm hoping one thing sticks. Then we can have a conversation.
Calls, right? That's the old stockbroker approach. What's your every 150 calls you make, you get a sale? That's how they're doing it. That's what they're trying to figure out at that point.
Oh, I hate those numbers.
Talk to you before somebody bites.
Yeah, make 100 calls. This is in sales in general. Make 100 calls, get 10 appointments, meet with 3 people, close 1.
And all of that is mostly opt out, right? Not interested, not interested.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You begin to understand and learn rejection. And
opt in would be, wow, I am following what you say. You've opened up my eyes, and I want to know more. Opt out. You talked about this before. They get your contact information on Facebook or LinkedIn, and all of a sudden you're in their newsletter. What's the first thing you do when you get it? Opt out.
Yeah.
But if you signed up for that newsletter, you've opted in, and the open rate of an opt-out email, Like you didn't ask for it. The open rate is about 4%. You know what the open rate is for opt-in? It's closer to 30%.
Okay.
That's because I've asked for the information. You're not selling.
Right.
I'm buying from you based on the content you provide.
I did tell you it is a pet peeve of mine that somebody takes my email address and just adds me to their blast list, email list. And I'm sitting there going, in some cases, I don't even know who you are. There were 60 people on that networking event, and you got that and started sending stuff out. And we constantly say,
that's the point. They're asking you to opt out.
not only am I
not order this, you'd give it back at a restaurant.
Yeah, I'm pet peeve. Not only am I not, gonna take this anymore. I'm gonna opt out, but I'm not gonna talk to you. If this is your strategy of how you treat people, I'm out. I just don't get it how people don't understand that a common courtesy. Hey, I have an email blast about subjects and things that may interest you. Would you be okay with that? I'm going to take that, because the other thing is I could just click on it and say it's spam, and if enough people do that, that email goes away.
Or even simpler, people just go right to the bottom and hit unsubscribe.
Yeah,
I get
it's there.
I end up on 2 new email lists a week.
Yeah,
because so many of I meet with about 50 people a week, and they're from all over the place. But if I attend one of their events, if they take my email from the meet, all of a sudden I'm getting an email newsletter from people, and I'm like, I didn't ask for this. I don't know why you're sending it to me. You just told me what you do. Like, what's the point? And I immediately am going to opt out. But if I said I love what you have to say, I'd love to get your newsletter. If everybody said that, your open rate is like my open rate on my newsletters, 5%. That's because the people who get it asked for it. That's it.
Yeah, I get that. It's and these newsletters, they need a pitch too, right? You've got to have that first line to grab somebody.
Yeah. What it ends up being, what's most impactful for them is content of value.
Yeah.
So if they read your newsletter and take something away from it, don't worry about pitching that hard. Put it right at the bottom, because the idea is it takes 5 to 12 emails to get someone to act in a newsletter format, but they will keep reading the email every single time they get it because they get value each time.
Yeah, right.
Here's what you're doing wrong. Here's why it's a problem. Here's how to fix it is a remarkably effective way to do that.
I can see that. I agree with that.
Yeah. Every piece of content I create, LinkedIn, video, it doesn't matter, has to deliver something of value to people.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of these email blasts that they're not doing that, right? They're playing Go Fish each time, right? They're trying a different subject and a different aspect of their business, and they're just trying to see who they can grab.
I think a lot of it, Bill, comes from the idea that they want to tell the world about what they do, and they believe that what they have to say is helpful. But the truth is, if it's everything communicates, and if it's communicated the wrong way, they get the wrong impression of you.
Well, and it's damaging.
If I were to come out to give a presentation to a bunch of insurance agents, and it's July, and I come out dressed as Santa Claus, it's a pretty ridiculous disconnect, right?
Right.
You're missing completely if you show up to sell insurance dressed as Santa Claus in July. Read the room, read the season at that point.
Yeah.
There needs to be a continuity to what you say and how you say it. They're not mutually exclusive. It needs to be communicated the right way. So if I'm in a field where there's a ton of competition, I worked with a plant-based cafe, like a vegan cafe.
Okay.
DC area, and they have a location in Virginia as well. And they said we need to sort of rebrand. We need to reposition our story. We don't want to visually rebrand. We just need more of a story around it. And the first thing I did was look at maybe 6 or 7 plant-based cafes in both Virginia and DC. And then I looked at some up here in New England where I am. All of them were the same thing. Plant-based cafe, vegan, tastes like the real thing. Here's our story. Here's how we make our food. Every single one did that. Now, this establishment is called Fruitive, and they are sit down 10 to 15 minutes for the meal. It's not a long turn, and the food is fantastic, but they also have things like pizza and ice cream and all these things that you wouldn't necessarily find in a plant-based cafe.
Okay.
We needed to attach meaning to Fruitive, not just the products that they sell, but the sign on the door. If it just says cafe, great, everybody says that. What comes next, right?
Yeah.
Where we landed was based on the fact that it's not readily available when people who lead that vegetarian vegan lifestyle, they need to think of their spots. They don't have as many selections as people who don't live that lifestyle do. Their choices are limited. There are a lot of things going through their mind. If they go to a restaurant with friends, they've got to find a vegan item, right? So what we focused on was the idea of their motivation to live their lifestyle and not what they want to eat during that lifestyle, in that lifestyle.
Okay.
What we ended up with was we want people to pursue their lifestyle. We want people to be excited about it and get what they want. So we shifted the headline, Fruitive, find your fruitivation. And it's about how you stick to that plan. You come in and fruitivate your lifestyle. You'll get what you want. You'll, all of it ties back to this attitude of fruitivation. Motivation equals plant-based cafe is how I framed it for them.
I can tell you, I would be more likely to go to that place than if you had told me, hey, you want to go to that vegan restaurant?
Yeah.
No. I don't ever want to go to a vegan restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge is you look at the market, what everybody else is saying is typically because they're thinking solution first. They're not thinking about the customer. They're thinking about what's behind the glass that they're going to sell. And it blinds them again. Like, they are excited that they opened a plant-based cafe. They are excited that it tastes as good as any regular food. They think every vegan eater, every plant-based eater is going to flock to the place. Well, every single plant-based cafe thinks that way about their plant-based cafe.
We got a question here coming in from Phil Nocerino, good friend of mine for many years. And he's asking, what do you think of using an AI app for a pitch?
Phil, the best advice I could give you is this. AI is fantastic. I mean, hell, I would use it to write a resume for the most part. It can really help in a lot of ways. The problem is what it spits out is going to be just as specific as the question you put in. And it's going to be just detailed, right? If you put in something about physics, give me the 3 principles of physics into ChatGPT or OpenAI, whatever the hell it's called now.
Yeah.
If you put that in there, imagine the answer you're going to get back. Maybe 3 bullet points, and each bullet point is 3 paragraphs, right?
Yeah.
You're talking physics. This is complex. Then you say, now write it for an 8-year-old. That's the best tip I can give you for writing anything on ChatGPT and using AI. Dumb it down. And immediately, I had to explain a complex idea in the cannabis industry of all places, where everybody looks at THC content, or, it's the same way as buying whiskey based on proof.
Yeah, right.
How people look at it, right? But the real magic of it is actually terpenes. Terpenes are these, sort of chemicals that are in the plant, but they're also in a lot of other vegetable-based things. So you could buy cannabis that has a distinct orange smell. That's because it's got the same terpene as a Florida orange. Trying to explain terpenes to someone who just wants to get high is insane. You cannot do it. But I had it write it for me because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about necessarily about terpenes either. I had to learn about it, and I was being told about it by the cultivators. Like, I knew what was going on.
Okay.
The average person has no idea. So I asked it to explain it to a 9-year-old, and it came out with this perfect analogy to ice cream. I can't even remember what it said, but it made it so stupid simple that anybody could understand terpenes in the cannabis.
Interesting. I go through this with friends with bourbons.
What'd you say?
we go through this. I go through this with friends with bourbons, and it's like we'll try different bourbons and stuff, and people base a quality on price. Same thing with wines, right? Especially wine. Oh, this $100 bottle of wine. It's $1,000 bottle of wine. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me.
I've had
I
$25
know
bottles.
I know plenty of high-end wines
Yeah.
that cost a lot of money that I could find you one for a quarter of the price. It's better. And with the bourbons, it's price and it's proof.
Mhm.
They always say, oh, this tastes really good. What's the proof? It seems like it's got, a lot of alcohol content here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 102, proof. And it's like, wow, that's great. It's smooth for that.
In the cannabis business, THC, you see something, it's like 21% versus 24%. Oh, I'm getting this one because it'll get me higher. No, it won't. First of all, that percent difference, that 4% difference, you will not in any way know it's happening. It does not change it at all in your mind. Furthermore, that testing is done when the plant is trimmed, not when it hits retail. It loses potency.
Okay.
So people are searching for that when in wine is a great example of this. You end up with maybe a region, a type of wine like a Pinot Noir versus a Pinot Gris, whatever the hell it is, right? You are going by what is one of the things that immediately sommeliers and wine tasting experts will tell you to do with a glass of wine?
You're supposed to look at it first.
Well, yes, okay, that's fine. Looking at it, you look at it on the shelf.
You look at the rim, the color of the rim. You swirl around, you smell it.
Smell it. There it is.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you shop for wine based on the elements in the wine that you're attracted to?
Yeah.
If you shopped by the color and price, you're never getting the same experience than if you shop for, I want a Pinot Noir from the Sonoma Valley because I know the soil is like this and this is what the taste and smell is going to be like. Like, that's more important to the wine drinker. Otherwise, we'd all be drinking Ripple, Bill.
Hey, they made some good stuff back in the day.
But compare that to businesses, right? You go to the nearest liquor store to get a 6-pack of Bud. But if it's wine, you treat that completely differently. You've got
I'll travel.
Store or shop. You may know the owner's name even, but you're going there to be guided in the selection, get exactly what you need.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a liquor store and a wine shop, is the difference between the same and different in my world.
Yeah.
Sound like everybody else. People see you because you're different. Now, I know I'm comparing beer to wine, but if you didn't care about wine, you could go to the same liquor store. But if you care, you're going to find a place you trust that carries what you want, and you're going to get educated in what you want every time you go in there.
Absolutely. I have friends that I know, they do that. I'm not a big wine drinker anymore. Unfortunately, I used to love it. Went to wine school, but it's having a hard time.
Well, even them going through that process with, like, do you like a red or a white? Do you like a dry? Out? They're going to go.
Well, you can get into regions. You can get into the styles. It's
Now think about this, Bill. How is that different from an effective business pitch?
Right.
At the liquor store, they're like, that'll be $7.25.
Yeah.
You go to the wine store, they pitch the experience to you.
Yeah.
Huge difference between those two.
Well, you have that conversation, you learn. What is it that attracts you to the wine?
Exactly.
Right? What is it that you focus on? Because you seem to always want to get this Paso Robles wine because of that region.
Yeah. What are you looking for and why? Oh, I was at this dinner party and we had this unbelievable red from Southern California and I loved it. I want to find that again. It's an experience. It's not sitting around with buddies drinking Miller Lite.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah, no, I get it. So, folks, let's get back to this pitch. This is what makes it so valuable, because if you're doing the wrong pitch, you're not only not making sales, but you're not looking good in the eyes of the person you're speaking with, who's going to inform others of that. if
Mhm.
asked, right? So you're doing more harm than you know uh, by
Yeah, like
following around.
what's pass onable about what I said, right?
Yeah,
If nobody thinks to refer me to someone else, again, I don't have the value I think I do. And the
yeah,
only way to suggest it is if they get what I do and see how it can help.
yeah. This is why I wanted to bring you on the show because when we started having these conversations, I realized how important, how valuable this aspect of anybody's life is, and whatever they're doing. And I don't think, but I know I can only speak personally. I did not put a lot of time and effort into like 30-second pitch or I don't put a lot of thought into any pitch other than hey, I've got this product, I got this service, I need to sell it, I know people need it, and all I have to do is tell them I'm the one who has it,
Yep.
and that's it, and it doesn't work, right? And you sit there and you wonder why isn't anybody buying.
If you're selling Verizon cell phone plans, you can't say we've got what everybody else doesn't.
Yeah.
The consumer's never going to buy that.
Well, so the funny thing you bring that up because there are services out there that say we use the same towers as Verizon.
Mhm.
So it's the same service. No, it's not. It is not the same service. You use the same towers. Okay, everybody uses those towers, right? What's the difference? 4G, 5G, 3G. You're not getting.
Those are little
Well,
details. They don't really.
that's a whole different world. I could have a weeks long conversation on the misleading, misrepresentation, lack of information, misinformation on commercials all over the place.
But even if you were to equate it to just Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T,
Yeah.
none of them can say we have, the others don't.
Right.
They're all looking for this stupid little feature that sets them apart. I had a guy who presented his CRM platform to me, and the first thing he says is, well, we're a CRM platform, but what makes us different? And then he explains some detail way down technology. And I said, first, I don't care about that detail. And second, the first thing out of your mouth, you equated yourself with every CRM platform I've met, and I've met a bunch. It turns people to off from on immediately. An audience is off or on. That's it.
Right.
So
People, because a lot of folks go around saying, we all know that nobody likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy. And so if nobody's buying from you, it's because you're trying to sell.
That's the opt-in versus opt-out.
Yeah.
Opt-in is I want to buy from you. Opt-out is I'm trying to sell you. And you're not.
We're right here towards the end. I want to make sure, listen, folks, you can reach out and have a conversation with this gentleman. He knows what he's doing. Like I said, I'm working with him. He's helping me on different projects and different pitches and to different types of audiences. And it's challenging. And I want to get it right. And I want to be solid in what I'm doing. So I'm going to an expert. And that's Mike Verret. It's Verret. Look him up on LinkedIn. Mike Verret, Verret. Look him up. Reach out. Have a conversation with this gentleman.
Yeah, all I sell is free Zoom calls.
There you go. And he'll put you promptly on his emailing list.
Damn it.
But any last parting words here? Words of wisdom for all the salespeople?
The easiest thing I could tell everyone is your perspective is going to be skewed when it's yours. So get someone's outside perspective. I firmly believe every company should have a CPO on their C-suite, Chief Perspective Officer, but they sit outside the company and their job is just to keep an eye on the 5% that matters to their customers.
Yeah, I love going back to the book
But
analogy with Stephen King. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
That's what I would leave you with, Bill.
I appreciate that because I get it. Where I might not have before, but I get it after having conversations with you.
It's actually just drawing awareness to what we already know. We just can't find the right way to get out of it.
I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your expertise and talents, and providing great insights. I hope folks understand the value and importance of what we talked about today. and can incorporate that into their going forward with their businesses. Because if you're not experiencing success, this may be the real reason why. You know, we know the whole story. We can't write it 30 seconds. So again, you need help. We all need help. We can't wear every hat. We can't do everything. We don't know everything. And in a case where we do know everything, then we don't know how to represent it properly in a 30-second pitch. So reach out to Mike. And Mike, again, thank you for coming on. I wish you a happy Easter weekend. Happy Good Friday. And I hope the weather stays good for you out there.
Bill, thank you so much for having me. And I wasn't even here to talk about pitches. I was just here to hear your dulcet tones.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.